into that room.
Chubb's got 77 yards on the ground, second down, 4, adding to it, stiff arming, keeping his balance. It's a foot race down the sideline, touchdown!
It's Hill. Taysom Hill picks up the Saints' first down, still going. Wow, spins to the goal line. He's in. Touchdown.
All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. My chopper hit. My chopper hit. My 40 hit. My 40 hit. I don't care if you let how step. I don't care if you let how rip. I don't care if you let how step. I don't care if you let how rip. I got sauce, I got flavor. Getting all this paper. I got sauce, I got flavor. Getting all this paper. Plain Jane Paddock on my motherfucking wrist. They notice every time when I walk up in this bitch. Post on walk up in this bitch. Keep my Glock up in this bitch. Post on walk up in this bitch. Keep my Glock up in this bitch. My chopper hit. My chopper hit. My 40 hit. My 40 hit.
Second. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that was a little too loud, but welcome back to a very, very special episode of the PMP, the episode before 50. This is going to be our 49th episode of PMP Live. I'm here alone today. I am your host, TJ Riddell, and my God, we look good today, except for the fact that I look like Josh Pate with glasses and a little bit of facial hair. Before we get into our main topics today, I just got to say, we're 2 subscribers away from 50. How ironic. We're almost at the 50 episode mark for PMP Live, and we're almost at 50 subscribers. So, those last two subscribers, I don't care who you are, or those non-subscribers, I mean, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Let's fucking go, because I am ready to talk about this. So, first we're going to talk about the NFL schedule release. Okay, so I made a mistake before we even got started. I thought the schedule was already released yesterday. I thought yesterday was Thursday and today was Friday. Well, apparently I am way off the mark because today's Thursday, May 11th, and the schedule release doesn't happen until 8 p.m. tonight, Central Time. And I gotta say, I'm very, very surprised that I got that wrong. Usually I'm on top of that shit, but I do have some rumors though. There's a rumor that Detroit and Kansas City will be the season opener. That should be an interesting season opener. And there's also some holiday scheduled games. I did hear that there's a Black Friday game, so we'll see what that game will entail. Will it be the Giants and Eagles on Black Friday? Because that would be fucking amazing. And then the international games, there's 2 London games, a Frankfurt game, and I forgot the other 2. I'll figure that out tonight as I watch the schedule release. But yeah, I'm really excited about the NFL schedule this year because there's a lot of good teams in the AFC. There's not as many good teams in the NFC, in my opinion, as the AFC. The AFC's wide the fuck open, but never count out KC, never count out Joe Burrow and the Bengals, never count out the Bills. You know, I mean, there's a lot of good teams in the AFC right now, so I'm really excited about that. But we're also going to talk a little bit about Oklahoma State a little bit. I noticed yesterday from my Pokes fans on Twitter, shout out to Zachary, shout out to Oklahoma State Soldier Boy or whatever his name is. But a lot of these Oklahoma State fans actually love me for some reason. And I have a great deal of respect for Oklahoma State, Mike Gundy especially. But I will tell you this. I am really excited for Oklahoma State this year. Let me give you a reason why. Well, a reason. Because of the fact that they have decided to change uniforms. If you haven't seen them yet, go look at them on Google. I'm not going to pull it up because, I just am not smart enough to do that yet on here because I tried to pull up the draft tracker and it fucked up the whole fucking video. So, I'm not going to do that for right now. I still got a lot of work to do on that, and we'll figure that out. But anyway, so Oklahoma State, they're getting new uniforms. They look like the traditional late 1988 Barry Sanders uniforms, where they have the regular number font on the belly and chest area, and on the chest logo on the lettering, they have Western on there. So it's a mix of traditional and a little tiny spice of Western on it. And I really like these uniforms. They look very good. They look very clean. They look crisp. I love looking at uniforms. I really do. If you don't know already, I am a uniform guy. If I like your uniform, I'm going to like your team. Trust me on that. If you have uniforms like Texas A&M, I fucking hate them. I just hate A&M in general because they're a bunch of crybaby bitches. But that's the Jimbo Fisher fans, Aggie fans. But I mean, back to Oklahoma State. I really like their uniforms, but what interests me more is the amount of transfers that are coming in. Like, I looked at the... I I scheduled the transfer portal talks for later today, but I was looking at the rankings, and I'm very surprised where they're at. They're ranked 18th in the transfer portal ranking. We'll go over that later. But yeah, I am very, very surprised that Oklahoma State, with the amount of transfers that left during the offseason, they were able to accumulate 13 commits. 4 of them are 4 stars. None of them 5 stars, but 9 of them 3 stars. So Mike Gundy, he's building something over there. He said they're the healthiest they've been in 2 years or 2 seasons. Their spring game looked good. So all these guys are saying that Oklahoma State is heading down the wrong path. I disagree with you full-heartedly. They have one of the most easiest schedules in the Big 12, in my opinion. And they might be a Big 12 championship contender. And we'll go over all that later on in the future videos. But, yeah, Oklahoma State looks crisp with their new uniforms. But here's another topic that we're going to talk about today. Oh, God. USFL. Okay. I'm going to talk about my thoughts first before I get into the stats and standings and all that shit, because honestly, this has been a boring ass football league. I don't understand. Like, the year prior, they were the most entertaining football that we've seen. And this year, it's fucking boring. It really is. Like, XFL fucking blew it off the roof this year. They're about to have their XFL Championship game. But USFL, they did not learn one damn bit that you can have 8 teams in 8 different locations and still be productive. I mean, look at the XFL. They're about to have their championship game, and they produced a lot of viewerships. They produced a lot of asses in seats, okay? USFL, they're not putting asses in seats. They're not putting eyes to the TVs. And to me, it has to do with a lot of teams that don't have a primary home, their fans are at their primary home, and they're not able to go to these games all the time because they have lives, they have jobs, they have all sorts of this shit. Well, how the fuck are you supposed to make money off of that? How are you supposed to gain viewership if your team is way the fuck over in Memphis? Say, for instance, Houston's team is over in Memphis as a stationary home. That's all Houston is a stationary team. They are stationed in Memphis. Meanwhile, Memphis is a home team. You need 8 home teams in order to survive. And I don't know if it has to do with the scheduling with the XFL or the contracts with the stadiums, and the USFL just doesn't have the funds for that. I don't know. I don't know. I honestly do not know. So I just don't know. I really don't know about that. And I'm just not really that into the XFL this year. I'm really, really, really not into it this year. They are laughable this year. But I do have to say that the Gamblers look a lot better this year. They really do. But we'll look at the stats real quick because I haven't really had the time or the want to even look at all the games. I'm just really not that impressed this season with this season. I am impressed with the Breakers though. At first they looked a little shaky, but they are starting to look like the defenders of this league. But let's take a look at the stat leaders. In passing yards, McLeod Bethel Thompson from New Orleans, the Breakers. He's leading the passing yardage with 1,116 passing yards. And then passing touchdowns is obviously Alex Magoo from Birmingham. And then we have our rushing leader. I call him the leader for a reason. Rushing yards and touchdowns. He's leading in both. Wes Hills from New Orleans. He has 389 rushing yards and 8 rushing touchdowns. Then you go to receiving yards. The fucking Breakers have another guy. Sage Surratt, New Orleans. 351 receiving yards. I mean, it looks like to me that the Breakers have a great offense so far. So, then receiving touchdowns, you got Justin Hall from the Houston Gamblers. He has 4 receiving touchdowns. And then kicking points, you got Matt Coughlin with 41 points. Kick return yards, Deion Kane. He's a very good returner. Birmingham's Deion Kane with 491 kick return yards. Punt returns, Pittsburgh Maulers, Isaiah Henney with 161 punt return yards. Interception leader, we got Philadelphia's Amani Dennis. Total tackles, New Jersey's Chris Orr. Sack leader in this league, Olive Sekapolu from Pittsburgh. And then points total, Alex Magoo from Birmingham. Deion Kane, all-purpose yards, 526 from Birmingham. Kickoff touchbacks, you got Brandon Aubrey with 2 touchbacks. Punt net average, Colby Wadman from Birmingham with 41.3. So, Birmingham and New Orleans have some stats right now, like stat leaders. So, now we'll look into the game stats, like for the teams. The Breakers are leading the league in passing with 261.3 passing yards per game, and then rushing yards in a game that belongs to the New Jersey Generals with 169.3 rushing yards per game. Kicking points, the Maulers take that with 37. Kick return average, the Breakers take that with 29.1. Kick return yards average per game. And then the Maulers take the punt return for 21.3 punt return average. Punts allowed. General, 63 punts allowed in a span of 4 weeks. That's pretty impressive. The Gamblers' third down percentage is the highest in this league with 54.5. And then the New Orleans Breakers 384.3 total yards per game. That's close to 400, so pretty impressive to carry out that number in a semi-pro league. And then turnover margin, you got the Maulers with +3 in the turnover margin. The kickoff touchback, the Panthers own that with 11.1 touchback percentage. And then the punt net average belongs to the Stallions. So this is your Week 4 update on teams. Now we'll go to the schedule and we'll make our predictions. So we have on Saturday on the USA Network at Ford Field, you got Pittsburgh Maulers 1-3 taking on Michigan Panthers 2-2. This is going to be on Saturday, May 13th at 11:30 a.m. Central Time. I mean, let's take a look at the stats between the two teams. Yeah, this is a fucking weird website. Doesn't even show you the matchup, like the preview matchup. Fuck it, I'm gonna go off script here. So, I am going to say that they did lose last week, the Maulers, but I think I'm gonna pick them to beat the Panthers in this game. They played close to the defending champs, 24-20, but Panthers looked sorry as hell last week, so I'm going to go with the Maulers to win this game. Next game, we're going to go with my Gamblers, who are 2-2 this season, taking on the defending champions, Birmingham Stallions, at Protective Stadium in Birmingham, Alabama, on Fox, May 13th at 3 p.m. Central Time. I am going to go. It's been a while since I've watched USFL, to be honest. But I'm going to go with the defending champs, the Birmingham Stallions. I just think their offense is a little bit too much for the Gamblers. And I know my Gamblers are going to choke at some point, so oh well. And then we'll go to Sunday, May 14th on NBC Peacock Network. Ford Field. My goodness. This is what I'm talking about, the stationary team. Detroit, Michigan, where Philadelphia will take on the New Jersey Generals. Philadelphia Stars are 1-3. The Generals are 2-2. I had the Generals in this game. I think the Generals will run all over the Stars. Pretty easy day for Generals. And then the last game at 2 p.m. Central Time on Fox, May 14th in Birmingham. New Orleans Breakers, the undefeated Breakers, taking on the Memphis Showboats, who had their first win against the Michigan Panthers. But I don't think Memphis is going to win this game. I think the New Orleans Breakers are going to win this game. And that's all I have for this fucking atrocious league. I just don't care for it too much right now. I think it would be better if they would have all the teams at their primary locations and not at fucking stationary levels. You know, it kind of demoralizes those poor teams that are stationary. I just lose interest in that type of stuff. it's okay for the first season. I get it because of the fact that you may not have the funds now, but if you're in season 2 and you already had your fucking championship, you should have already had this fucking done. You know? And one more thing I forgot to do was check the standings, which I really don't give a fuck, to be honest. But in the North Division, the Generals have had the lead, but they're tied with the Panthers in overall win-loss totals. But they are leading in the division with 2-0, while the Panthers are 2-2, 1-1 in the division on a 2-game losing streak. And the Maulers are 1-3 with a 1-1 record. The Stars are 1-3 with an 0-2 record. So that's your North Division. The South Division, the Breakers are in first with a 4-0 record, 2-0 division record. The Stallions are 3-1 with a 1-1 record, losing to the Breakers. The Gamblers are 2-2 and 1-1. And then the Showboats are 1-3 and 0-2. And there you have it. There's your fucking standings for the USFL. I could give a fuck less about this league because it's really not that impressive of a league. Yeah, they have crazy rules and all that, but really? Where's the excitement? Where's the asses in the seat? I care more about attendance once it comes to these leagues. XFL fucking blew it off the roof. And I wouldn't be surprised if they added 4 more teams this following year. And that puts more asses into seats, more eyes to the fucking TV. But, don't listen to me. I'm no fucking expert. I'm just a fan that cares about the sport of football. So, now we're going to move on to a what I like to call a main event, but this is going to be a longer video, I think. We're at 22 minutes right now, fixing to be 23. But this is a very big subject for a lot of reasons and a lot of stupid reasons. I really don't understand why this is such a big fucking deal, since it hasn't been that relevant since the Bush era. Or really since the Obama era, really since teams would go visit the White House. Well, the first term of Obama, I would say. After the second term, I just really didn't care for the White House or the White House invitation. I mean, usually a lot of teams look forward to a lot of White House invitations. But here's the deal. This is becoming a trend. So, the last 2 champions, Alabama in 2020, Georgia in 2021, did not visit the White House due to the COVID-19 protocols. Okay, that's reasonable, right? Right? Well, people are making a big fucking deal out of this. Georgia declined the visit to the White House invitation due to the fact that it was not feasible for the student-athlete scheduling. So the scheduling's off. Okay, well, that's fine. Well, then you're going to have these fucking idiots on Twitter, on Facebook, on TikTok, on whatever. They're going to say that Georgia is... They're going to say Kirby Smart's racist and all this other bullshit. They don't care for Joe Biden or whatever. They're going to make it political. Somehow, some way. It doesn't matter what side you're on. They're going to make it political. Because that's what propaganda news is all about. And I'm going to sit here and tell each and every one of my fans and one of Caleb's fans, or each and every one of Caleb's fans, and each and every one of these college football fans this. If you actually think for a second that it is okay to talk about politics, like throw out there, oh, Georgia didn't want to go because they don't like Democrats, or this is a good thing that Georgia didn't go because of Joe Biden or whatever. Like, I'm not defending Joe Biden. I have my personal opinions about Joe Biden. I think I'm not gonna really say it because you might not like what I have to say about him. But anyway, I pretty much said what I thought. But anyway, I think it's really ignorant to point that out firsthand. You know, like, I would understand if they actually came out and said that right away. Like, then it would be bigger news than what it is, you know. But it's just the simple fact that you got kids that are trying to finish exams. They're trying to get stuff done at school. They're trying to get shit done at school. They decline the invitation because it interferes with the student athlete, or the student part of the student athlete clause of their scholarship. This interferes with everything that is going on with their schooling. You know, and I fucking hate when fucking people are so into politics. They like to push that narrative. Like, it's becoming a sick trend that is really, really just downgrading America right now, in my personal opinion. If Georgia can't go, they can't go because of the simple fact that they need their kids to finish school. That's the way it needs to be. Okay? No politics involved. I don't care if you're left wing, right wing, chicken wing. I don't give a fuck. The simple fact that you have idiots on both parties that want to say, well, Georgia didn't want to go because of Joe Biden, or Georgia doesn't want to go because they don't like the policies that's being ran. Who gives a fuck? They just said they can't go because of it not being feasible to the fucking student athletes. The scheduling wise. It doesn't say that the Georgia players didn't want to go because of the simple fact of their political views. It doesn't say that Georgia doesn't want to go because of the university's political views. It doesn't say that Kirby Smart didn't want to go because of his political views. Nobody gives a shit. Everything is so political nowadays that you can't even enjoy a fucking football game. How fucking disrespectful to the game of football. You know, and I take this very seriously because of the fact that since 2016, we have become so fucking soft as a country. We really have become fucking soft as a country as far as fucking, and this goes on both sides. Well, fucking Republicans this, well, fucking Democrats that. Shut the fuck up. Like, seriously. I'm sick and tired of that shit. Like, that shit made me pissed off when I was voting in 2020. And most of y'all know who I vote for. But quit making things about politics. This has to do with fucking education. Not fucking politics. Now, if they say later on from a fucking Georgia representative that had to do with politics, then I understand. But there's these fucking idiots out of nowhere. Oh, they just didn't want to go because they're fucking all red. Shut up. Just seriously, shut up. Like, I just don't get it with these fucking radical politicians or political people, these political activists on either side. I really don't get it. Despite my personal views, my personal political views, I don't put them on here. I don't talk about that shit unless it has to do with the game of football. Just like the View video. I don't normally post shit like this unless it has to do with football. Because I like to put out football content. That's about the only thing that I actually give a fuck about is football. Nobody wants to talk about politics on here. As a matter of fact, everybody's sick and tired of it. And I'm not just talking about on here. I'm talking about everywhere. But all these old heads, all these fucking Gen Z made up humans or whatever the fuck they are, they want to do that shit. It's so fucking annoying. It really is. Like, I don't give a fuck about politics anymore. I used to before I started this shit, and now I really just don't want to hear about politics anymore. So, with that being said, keep it at that until they fucking say, yeah, we didn't want to go because we don't like Joe Biden or something else came up, you know? Like, nobody gives a fuck about what anybody else wants. Or nobody gives a fuck about what's happening politically. What is happening is the fact that they just can't go because their student athletes need to finish their schoolwork. And I'm okay with that. But everybody else, oh, they're just being like that because they're Republicans. Get the fuck out of here with that. Like, seriously. Y'all sound like fucking morons when y'all do that. So, yeah. That's all I have to say about that. Nothing more, nothing less. I just don't get on either side. Why can't we all just be happy that Georgia won the national championship? You know? Why can't we just give them fucking credit where credit's due? You know, and I hate to say it, but this country has gone soft. And it doesn't matter what party it is, it has gone soft. And I was stuck in there, and I never want to go back in there. So, there you have it. Well, we're going to move on from that fucking talk. Save that for another story for another day or whatever Caleb says. XFL Championship. This is our actual main event that we're going to be talking about. This game is a rematch. I mean, all games are going to be rematches in this league because there's only 8 fucking teams. But this game is in 2 days, 5 hours, 26 minutes, and 12 seconds from now. This game features 2 teams. One team that I definitely expected to be in because they had a terrific season, a 9-1 season. They lost to the worst team, they lost to the worst team, which I think they did that on purpose. But yeah, they're 9-1. The heavily favored DC Defenders. Now this team, they are fucking good. Mainly on the run. Like they are a damn good football team, man. And they convincingly beat Seattle not too long ago. But I'm gonna run down their fucking schedule real quick. From week 1 to the division championship. So, or maybe not. Oh, okay, there we go. So their first game was against Seattle, and they beat them 22-18. That was the first game. Second game, they took on the Vegas Vipers. They won 18-6. And then the third game, they took on the St. Louis Battlehawks at DC. And that was a chippy game, chippy rivalry, but DC won 34-28. So this is when I thought DC was going to make a good run here. Then they played against Vegas again at DC, 32-18. Very impressive win right there. Then they play at St. Louis against the Battlehawks, 28-20. And then they take on the fucking Jesus, I can't find it. They took on my personal favorite team, the Houston Roughnecks, and they convincingly beat them 37-26. I was very surprised of how well they played. And then they surprisingly lost 37-36 in a very good game against the Orlando Guardians, which that's a moral victory for the Guardians, let's be honest. And then they come back and they beat Seattle, which I thought statistically they had the best roster, but apparently not. They beat Seattle again, 34-33 in a very good game. And then DC took on Arlington, which we'll talk about them here in a little bit. 28-26. This was a little bit chippy as well. So this is going to be an interesting game. And then week 10, they took on San Antonio Brahmas at San Antonio. They barely scraped by 29-28. So then we get into the division championships, and they absolutely controlled this game 37-21. Now, I love what Reggie Barlow is doing. Shout out to Reggie Barlow and Master Chief Barlow, his brother. I love what he's doing offensively. And defensively, they are just as tough. They have a really good balance of run attacks with the quarterback position with Jordan Teamu. And then they got Abram Smith in the back, former Baylor Bear. I really like what they're doing offensively. I really do. And it's fucking scary watching them play. But then you look at their opposition. This team was a very big surprise to all of us. So they beat Vegas 22-20, the Arlington Renegades. The week 2, they lose to the Roughnecks 23-14. All right, well, it's the Roughnecks. Of course they're going to lose to the Roughnecks. And then they barely beat Orlando, so we're looking at a 2-1 team that kind of doesn't look that well. And then they play against the St. Louis Battlehawks 24-11. 2-2, not very good there, Arlington. And then they barely scraped by San Antonio with a 12-10 win over the Brahmas at San Antonio. Makes it 3-2. And then they play San Antonio back-to-back. And San Antonio beats them 15-9, which is bound to happen, you know. Makes it 3-3. And then Arlington gets controlled by Seattle 24-15. And then Arlington faces the Orlando Guardians. They barely beat the Guardians 18-16. Makes it 4-4. And then they took on the Defenders. So pretty much a weird loss that they had, 28-26. I actually thought they were going to beat the Defenders. And then they lost again to the Roughnecks in a very, very convincing manner at home, 25-9. Then we get into the division championship. I picked the Roughnecks to win this game, and the Renegades absolutely turned it up a notch. 26-11. Renegades win. And We're about to see a really good game. I think this is going to be highly entertaining. This will be on Saturday, May 13th at 7 Central Time. I look forward to this game. I don't know about all of you. This is going to be a fun fucking game. In San Antonio, of all places. I wish I could go, but my actual work obligations told me no. So I can't go to meet you lovely people in San Antonio. Maybe next year, if they have it in Houston. But let's take a look at the pregame stats here. So game summary, or pregame summary, as I would like to call it here. The Renegades average out 258.3 yards per game, while the Defenders average out 344 yards per game. Receiving yards, 190.2 to 207.8. Defenders win that one. Passing yards, 176.3 passing yards for the Renegades, while the Defenders are 203.5. Rushing yards. This is where the big difference is. Renegades at 82. Defenders almost at 141 yards per game, rushing wise. Sacks per game, about 2 for Arlington and about 3 for DC. Kick return yards, 75 yards, 91 yards for DC. For punt return yards, almost 17 for the Renegades and almost 19 for the Defenders. So, you would like to say that the Defenders are going to pretty much control this game. And I'm going to have to agree with everybody on this one. I think DC is at another level compared to everybody in this league. I just think they lost on purpose to the Guardians. Pretty much how the Stallions lost last season to, I think it was the Gamblers that they lost to last season. I don't remember. I would have to look back. But, yeah, I think DC is going to win the championship. The first actual XFL championship. So, sorry, Houston fans. DC's going to be claimed as the first champion. So, yeah. I just think DC's going to... Their run game is just unbelievable. So, I'm going to have to give the edge to the DC Defenders in this game. So, my final thoughts on the XFL, though, as a whole. I fucking loved this season. I loved going to San Antonio to go watch the Brahmas. The Brahmas fans were incredible. They were funny. They were awesome. They made me feel like I was a part of the family. Next season, I would like to go to the Roughnecks. I would love to go to the Renegades with Caleb or K-Dub. We could probably go to those games. And possibly next year go to some college games and some NFL games where we go to Houston or we go to Arlington and go watch Dallas play. Those tickets are not cheap at all. So, yeah, that's fucking tough. So, XFL, brilliant first season back from 2020, from that stupid-ass COVID season. I'm glad that we got the XFL back. I really do. And The Rock fucking nailed it. Him and his partner, I forgot her name again. Jeez, I need to remember her name. But they fucking hit the nail on the door on this one. This was a fucking awesome season. And the ratings proved it. The seats on the asses proved it. Especially in St. Louis, D.C., and San Antonio. So, I'm very, very grateful for the XFL this season. Way, way, way better than the USFL. USFL has to step their fucking game up. Rule changes I liked, but you have to put teams in their primary homes. You can't just call them the Houston Gamblers and have them in fucking Memphis or the Philadelphia Stars and have them at fucking Ford Field in Michigan, in Detroit. But yeah, so hell of a season for the XFL. But before we get into anything else, we're going to talk about the transfer portal news. I'm gonna go over just the updated stuff. Just the people that have committed somewhere. Some 4-star or higher that are still in the market. But I'm gonna talk about the guys that actually that committed so far. So as of May 1st, 4 guys committed elsewhere. So you got Trey Amos. He went from Louisiana Lafayette, transferred over to Alabama. He's a 3-star. This is gonna help the secondary for Alabama for sure, but we'll see. And then you got a defensive lineman from Missouri, Arden Walker. He transferred over to Colorado, so that's a big win for the Buffs. And then you got Nigel Lanier from Tennessee. He just wasn't getting enough playing time, so he's transferring over to Grambling State and HBCU. So shout out to the HBUs out there. So that's a good thing. And then Omar Daniels, cornerback from Kansas State, he decided to hit the transfer portal, and he's going to Georgia Tech. Now, last month, April 30th, Caleb Brown, 4-star wide receiver from Ohio State. Ohio State has a really good receiving core. He decided to transfer over to Iowa. That's a big win for Iowa. A.J. Allen, running back from Nebraska, decided to hit the transfer portal, and he's not going to play with Matt Rule, which is fucking crazy to me. He's heading over to Miami with Mario Cristobal, so that's an interesting win. Landon King from Auburn, he decided to transfer over to Utah. That's a big plug to fill after Dalton Kincaid was drafted in the NFL draft. Utah's going to have a really good tight end there. And that'll help out Cam Rising right there as well. And then April 28th was a big day for transfers apparently, so bear with me. So I'm going to start off with top to bottom here. So quarterback Xavier Williams from Charlotte, the 49ers. He was a 3-star coming in. Now he's transferring to, you guessed it, UCF. So UCF, they do need some quarterbacks. I'm really excited to see what they have to offer for this kid. Alonzo Ford from Old Dominion. I saw him play a little bit. He's a fucking record. He's going to go from Old Dominion to Penn State. So Penn State just got a very underrated talent right there. I'm very excited to see what Alonzo Ford could do. Micah Pittman. He transferred out of Florida State, wide receiver 4-star. He still has 2 years of eligibility left. And he is transferring to Utah. So Utah is just going to be stronger. And then you got a guy, Matt Jones. He's going to stay in Ole Miss. Jackson Brown, offensive tackle for the California Golden Bears. He's transferring over to the East Coast to play for the Pittsburgh Panthers. So that's an interesting pickup. Jabron Hawkins, Ole Miss defensive lineman. He's going over to Colorado. So don't be mad when I say Colorado a lot, because Colorado has been getting a lot of transfers. Craig McDaniel, a safety from Auburn, decided to transfer over to Minnesota. I think that's a big win for Minnesota. Dustin Hall from Duke, inside interior offensive lineman. He'll be transferring over to East Carolina in the American Conference. I like this for Eastern Carolina. They need interior offensive linemen. Bishop Thomas, defensive lineman, 3-star, coming from Florida State to Colorado. Another Colorado. That's 3, I believe, already. And then this one took me by surprise, honestly. Casey Thompson, former Texas Longhorn, now a former Nebraska Cornhusker since Jeff Sims transferred over from Georgia Tech. He decided to hit the transfer portal. It shouldn't surprise me, but it does surprise me that he would go to Florida Atlantic. The reason why I'm not that surprised is because of Tom Herman. Tom Herman being at Florida Atlantic, he knows Casey Thompson, and vice versa. Casey Thompson knows Tom Herman. He knows his playbook. What surprises me is that he would go from a Power 5 to a Conference USA team like Florida Atlantic. Correct me if I'm wrong, if they're not in the Conference USA anymore. There's so many conference realignments nowadays. American Conference just lost a shit ton of guys like UCF, Cincinnati, and Houston to the Big 12. So it wouldn't surprise me one damn bit if Florida Atlantic decided to go into the American with UTSA and Rice, I believe. But anyway, Omarion Cooper, another Florida State Seminole cornerback, decided to go to, you guessed it, Colorado. This is April 27th. Isaiah Afancy, running back from San Jose State, decided to transfer to California. That could be interesting. Then April 26th, I don't know where the fuck this logo is, but Nazir Fokarine, I don't know what GV. So if you go on 24/7 Sports and you do the tracking for the transfer portal, I don't know where the fuck this is, but this kid is a cornerback and he transferred over to Vanderbilt. He's a 3-star, Nazir Fokarine. I don't know what the fuck that school is, to be honest. But anyway, Taylor Upshaw, he transferred out of Colorado because he couldn't handle primetime, apparently, to a rival Pac-12 school, Arizona. Jake Wiley, another Colorado transfer, interior offensive lineman. He decided to go to UCLA. That's interesting. Gerard Cameron from Coastal Carolina, cornerback, transferred over to UMass. DeMarco Williams decided to stay at Ole Miss. And Ben Christman, or Christman, I don't want to say Christ, but that's how it's spelled. He transferred. He's an offensive tackle. Transferred from Ohio State to Kentucky. That's all I'm going to put out there for the transfer portal as of late. But let's take a look at the rankings so far. So here's the top 10. Top 10 right here. And I'm going to tell everybody the points and the commitments. Here we go. Number 1. Everybody should get this. This shouldn't be no surprise to anybody. Number 1, Colorado. 44 commits with an average of 88.03. They have an 89.44 point. They have 1 5-star, 4 4-stars, and 28 3-stars. So that's a big plus for Colorado and Dion after a 1-11 season, and Dion comes in and he said what he was going to do. He was going to bring his Louis. He was going to bring better people in. It was just a matter of who's going to stay and who's not. And it looks like a lot of people did not like that. So, number 2, they're below Colorado, another Pac-12 team they're below Colorado by 4.5 points. But I got to say, with the amount of commits they have, I'm very impressed with the way Lincoln Riley does his transfer portal moves. And that's USC. USC has 9 4-stars and 4 3-stars. USC might be dangerous this year. I don't know defensively, but offensively they are going to be phenomenal. LSU, number 3. They had some awesome commits come by. 8 4-stars, 4 3-stars, and they have a score of 80.73 with an average 90.5. Number 4. This might be a shocker to everybody. And this is 24/7 Sports. This isn't my rankings. I am no expert at transfer portal rankings. I go off of their rankings. Auburn at number fucking 4 with 16 commits, 9 4-stars, and 3 5-stars. 80.52, and they just had Peyton Thorne come in from Michigan State. So this is going to be, I think this is going to be an interesting year for Auburn. I really do. So we'll see what happens with that. And then number 5, I'm not really surprised with this one. I think they had a really good offseason, even though they had some transfers come out. But Oklahoma, even though I despise them, there's a certain respect that I have for Oklahoma. They're not like Aggie fans, so I'm happy with that. But let's take a look at their points here. 76.02. That's way below Colorado's, but they have 15 commits, 4-star, 6 4-stars, and 7 3-stars. I mean, they have a really good variety here. So we'll see what happens with Oklahoma this season. They got Brendan Thompson from Texas, so this will be an interesting year for Oklahoma. See if they can even get past the mediocre curb that they just witnessed last season. So we'll see what happens. And then this team, I don't think it's overhype. I just think it's a little bit too much hype for this team. But for the transfer ranking, I do like them at this spot. Florida State at number 6 with 9 commits with 7 4-stars and 2 3-stars. I mean, that's a very impressive stat line right there. 7 4-stars out of 9 commits, and 2 of them are 3-stars. That's not bad at all. And their points are 74.49. Number 7, UCLA, 14 commits. They have 4 4-stars and 10 3-stars with a 73.01 point system, or points for the system. They're averaging out 88.64 though, so we'll see what happens there. Without DTR and Zach Charbonnet, I don't know how UCLA is going to do this season, to be honest. I need to look back at their spring game, and I'll make my full analysis once I go over the Pac-12 conference. That'll be an announcement afterwards. I'm just going to go over the top 10 for right now. Number 8, Louisville. Now, people are saying, Louisville, what the fuck? They've been mediocre the last several seasons, ever since Lamar left. Well, ever since Lamar was a junior or senior. Well, here's the thing. Louisville just got a damn good coach. And I think they're going to make a splash in the ACC without even looking at their spring game, you know. And the teams that they're playing this year, I think Louisville's going to have a shot at the ACC this year. So with 20 commits, they have 3 4-stars and 17 3-stars. I mean, that's a lot of 3-stars, but that's good enough to win you games. So 72.6 points, but they average out 87.85, so that's a good win for Louisville. Number 9, This is why I think Arkansas is going to be good this season. Their transfers coming in. 5 4-stars, 9 3-stars. I was about to say 3 9-stars. Jesus. But man, KJ Jefferson's coming back. They're pretty much their offense is coming back. Defensively, they did lose a badass linebacker, but I think he could be filled. I mean, Arkansas didn't lose much this season, so. And I had a little disagreement with Brandon Walker on Twitter. If you guys follow me on Twitter, I tweet a lot on there now. I used to not like Twitter, but now I'm just on there basically because of football. But, yeah, Arkansas is going to be good this season. I really do think that. I think they're going to give a lot of teams trouble this season, like LSU, Alabama. Just the teams in the SEC West in general, they're going to have a lot of trouble with Arkansas this season. And number 10, Ole Miss. Now, Ole Miss is going to be a team to watch out for. Lane Kiffin's doing a great job over there. 18 commits, 8 4-stars, and 4 3-stars. And you can guess the 6 other commits. But 71.24 with an average 89.33. That's a little bit higher than Arkansas's average, but Arkansas is ranked higher with the 14 commits. But they are doing excellent job. They are doing an excellent job in the transfer portal and also keeping guys in the program. Lane Kiffin's doing a great job with keeping guys in the program in Ole Miss. So expect the Rebels to make a splash in the SEC West too. It's going to be a fucking gauntlet in the SEC West. So that's all I have for the transfer portal talk. Now we get into the last bit of news. I'm going to try to make this as short as possible. I thought this was going to be a longer video today, but my dumbass decided to think that today was Friday and today's Thursday, but what the fuck ever. So, college football has decided to make rule changes this season. And they're going to try to make things a little faster. 3 changes aim at shortening Division I and Division II college football games and reducing the number of plays per contest next season were approved by the NCAA Playing Rules Oversight Panel. The NCAA announced Friday the changes are as follows. And this is on The Athletic. So I'm just going off of The Athletic here. So these are the 3 rules. Running the clock after first downs like the NFL, except for the last 2 minutes of each half. Okay. That's already a what the fuck. I know they're trying to shorten the game, but this is what made college football so unique. You make a first down, you stop the clock until the ball's set, until you're ready to go on the next play. Alright? So, banning the use of consecutive timeouts by a team. So, you can't have consecutive timeouts. So, that I agree with. Carrying over a foul to the second or fourth quarter rather than playing an untimed down. I could see mixed emotions about this, but altogether, I do think this is a good thing here. But running the clock after first downs, I don't necessarily agree with. I just think they're just trying to shorten up the time in college football. I don't know why. It's ridiculous that they are trying to do that, but I don't understand why now. So, very, 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 very confused about the whole situation, about the fucking, I don't know. I just don't know. And I'm glad they're starting to have they are starting to have rule changes like that, but you can't take away tradition like that. After a first down, you're taking away the stopping the clock until it's like the last 2 minutes of the first half or second half. Like that's what made college football so unique. So I don't necessarily agree with it. I'm pretty sure there's some people that don't agree with it, but that's just my opinion. But the other two rules, I think we can get by with that. I really do. So I do get what they're trying to do with this rule change, or with these rule changes, but I just don't agree with that one. But with all that being said, we're done here today, folks. I do want to make one announcement, maybe two. When Caleb comes back on, we're going to talk about a little bit about video games. That's going to be a thing on here. I don't know if you guys like video games or not, and that has to do with football. Madden, NCAA, Backbreaker, fucking Axis Football, fucking Maximum Football, Doug Flutie's Maximum Football, by the way. NFL Street, all these fucking games that me and K-Dub are going to talk about at some point when he comes back or whatever. I'll let you guys know when or how or where on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at TJRid10 _ PMP. You can also follow me on Facebook under Tyler Riddell. Yeah, I use my professional name, so. But, yeah, I mean, that's one announcement. And then the next announcement has to do with college football for me. I will be watching all the spring games of each team. I've already watched a couple of them. And then I'm going to make my analysis based on the transfer portal, the recruitment cycle, the spring game. I know the spring game doesn't matter, but Alabama fans made it fucking serious this year. I don't know why. They're acting like it's the end of the fucking world, but it's not. They still have a very good football team that I will not, and I repeat, on the PMP, will not underestimate. But, go over the spring games, what happened in spring games or whatnot, or try to in a short amount of time for those teams. So basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to go conference by conference in alphabetical order. So I'm going to start off with the ACC, then the American, then the Big 10, then the Big 12, and so on and so forth, until we get done with the Division I schools. And then I'm going to talk about that starting probably next week. It'll probably be Tuesday if I'm not busy, because I'm probably going to be busy Monday. I want to try to do it Tuesday. I want to try to get that done. If I can't do it on Tuesday, then I'll try to do it Wednesday morning before I go into work Wednesday night. But I really want to diagnose each team in every conference. That includes the group of 5, folks. So I am going to be, like I always am, the college football guru. And if you have a problem with it, tell me in the comments section. I will look at it, and I will tell you why you're a fucking mark for your team. I'm a fucking mark for my team, but I have to be realistic. I have to say, well, okay, well, Quinn really didn't really do that well because of this, that, which really he did a good job in the spring game. But I'm gonna starting next week. I am going to start talking about each conference, each team in the conference, starting with the ACC. I'm gonna talk about who to watch out for in this conference, top 5 players. And I'm going to go over each team by team. Even the shittiest teams, guys. So, every fan base will have their team mentioned on here. And I'm going to have a way too early standings. Way too early prediction on who I think will win the conference. Based off of the spring game, based off of the recruitment cycle, based off of the transfer portal cycle. I will actually give out grades. My own grades. And it's going to be a lot of research on my part. So I'm going to be a very busy, very grumpy guy for the next several months. Especially with this, because I take this shit seriously. And the last thing I need to hear is some Aggie going, well, our transfer portal cycle was really, really good. You know, we were in the top 10. No, not according to 24/7. Nope, not according to the transfer portal site. Not according to this, you know. Well, you don't know your football from jack shit, and I'm a jumbo fisherman. Shut the fuck up. So, that's the last thing I want to hear. What I want to hear is, I like your list. I just have a couple things disagreed with. But yeah, I'm going to start off with the ACC next Tuesday night, or day, and then that following, or that night, on Tuesday night, me and Kata will probably jump back on here, and we'll talk about whatever, you know. Probably the schedule release of his idea of talking about video games. Started with Maximum Football, the new Maximum Football coming out, and the previous ones to talk about, I guess. I'll have to get with him on that, if he's going to be able to anyway. But other than that, that's pretty much all I have for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed my rant earlier about Georgia. Let's get to 50 subscribers and more. I would love to bring in more people, new people into this small community. Maybe we could grow to 100 by the end of the year, or right before football season. That would be fucking awesome if we did. And then get to, say, 500 subscribers. It's not realistic, but 500 subscribers by the end of the year. That'd be fucking awesome. I'd fairly enjoy it. And I love each and every one of you. Even my little Aggies that like to cry to me. Well, Jubal Fisher is the best coach here in Texas A&M, and we're the best. Shut up. But, yeah, I love each and every one of you guys that subscribe, like the videos, like what I have to say. Even the guys that actually come up to me and ask me for advice on their draft fantasy, I've only come close to second place in fantasy, and that was due to my dumbassery that I forgot to sit out Antonio Brown and forgot to put in Jamar Chase when Antonio Brown did the fucking jumping jacks in East Rutherford. So, I appreciate each and one of y'all for asking me for my thoughts on whatever. Even if I just blatantly just post it on there and y'all have a disagreement with me, I appreciate that. That makes me feel better as a fan / analyst. I like to consider myself an analyst, but really I'm just a fan. But I also want to be big in this podcast. Let's be honest here. So, yeah, with all that being said, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. I appreciate everybody that has subscribed and the people that don't subscribe and still watch this shit. I do appreciate it. But fucking subscribe. But with all that being said, we are the greatest football podcast in all of you mother effing tube. We are the PMP. Thank you guys for watching, and ta-ta for now. Goodbye, mwah, and good night. Bang!